Yes. In mid-September of 2023, I convened a meeting with SI reps where I invited reps from several other community organizations. The purpose of that meeting was so several other organizations could hear about us being approached and what the project was all about. I opened that meeting by disclosing that a member of the SI team had worked for me over 10 years ago in Cincinnati. City reps made SI officials aware of some non-city-owned sites in the downtown area. They expressed a preference for the Klein lot, and discussions began in earnest. I would like to invite Sarah Miller, the CEO of Destination Ann Arbor, up to make her presentation.
Thank you, Milton, and good evening. Can you all hear me?
You have to turn the mic on.
Yep, I agree.
Now, can you hear me? Oh. Thank you for all the adjustments, wonderful staff. I appreciate that. All right, let's get started. Some of you may not know who we are. For over 4 decades, Destination Ann Arbor has been a guiding force in marketing Washtenaw County, establishing it as the premier destination for travelers, meeting, and sports planners. Our dedicated efforts have not only highlighted the region's appeal, but have also played a pivotal role in driving economic growth and community development through tourism and events. On the slide, you can see we are a private, nonprofit, regional organization whose mission is to elevate economic vitality and connect our communities through the power of travel. To deliver on our mission, you can see the slide, some of the ways we are working to actively promote Washtenaw County. This evening, we are focusing on a crucial aspect of our mission, the importance of attracting large meetings, large-scale events and conferences to Ann Arbor and the surrounding area. These large-scale events fuel economic growth, elevate our national profile, and foster a vibrant community. I would like to inform you on independent research that reflects the need for large meeting space and a meeting planner's desire to be in a downtown core, such as Ann Arbor. As I move through tonight's presentation, it's important to note that we are not endorsing or favoring any specific project, rather supporting a need for large meeting space. By sharing this knowledge, we open the door to innovative ideas and potential partnerships that can benefit our community. From our 2021 post-pandemic economic impact study with Anderson Economic Group, we saw that visitor spending is essential to growing the local economy and workforce. In 2021, Washtenaw County saw 6.1 million visitors, generating $634 million in visitor spending at local businesses, including shopping, dining, entertainment, lodging, and more. Visitor spending supported over 6,800 full-time equivalent jobs in Washtenaw County over the same time period and provided $190 million in income for local workers across the county. The visitor economy generated $33 million in state and local tax revenues that provide an array of essential public services for residents, including K-12 education, law enforcement, local libraries, parks, road services, and more. As we anticipate a 2023 economic impact study to be completed this year, we anticipate these numbers will only grow due to the stabilization of the travel industry and continued recovery from the pandemic, further showcasing the vital role of tourism in our region's prosperity. Destination Ann Arbor partnered with Washtenaw County in 2019 for a feasibility study to officially determine the economic potential of a conference center, while considering land use, sustainability, community impact, and funding strategies. The last time a study like this was conducted was in the late 1980s. Due to the potential impacts of the pandemic, we have gone through the process to update the study with finalized results expected in mid-February. Through the results shown today, in today's presentation, they are preliminary findings from this most recent draft. Convention, Sports, and Leisure, which you'll note on many of the slides as CSL, is the organization commissioned for the study. It was founded in 1988 to provide focused and independent research to the event facility industry. CSL Consulting Services have provided guidance on more than 2,000 convention, conference, multipurpose, and many other event facility projects throughout North America. The CSL team has overseen an extensive number of event facility planning studies throughout Michigan and the greater Midwest region, including but not limited to Detroit, Macomb County, Jackson, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Port Huron, Muskegon, and South Haven. CSL conducted over 50 stakeholder interviews with local area organizations and community leaders in Washtenaw County, along with 100 phone interviews of meeting planners representing more than 650 conferences. This includes a larger area of study examining existing market conditions and competitive set. Preliminary findings included a substantial gap in the market for a well-located, adequately sized convention facility. This ideally would have a total sellable space of 75,000 square feet, broken out the way you see here on the slide. As you can see, there is a need for ancillary hotel rooms within walking distance to accommodate the large potential attendee numbers. This does position downtown Ann Arbor with its hotel supply, walkable downtown, and amenities for visitors. CVent, which is a globally recognized leader in event management and venue sourcing technology, utilizing their extensive database and industry-leading technology, they were able to accurately assess the volume and value of requests for proposals in the market that couldn't be accommodated due to the existing space limitations. This data is crucial in understanding the market potential and planning for the future. In the first 9 months of 2023, there were 8,213 requests for proposals from meeting planners sent out across 9 states in the Midwest, seeking venues with 50 to 75,000 square feet of meeting space and accommodations for 250 hotel room nights. Due to the limited meeting space available in Washtenaw County, we were unable to respond to these RFPs. The $5 billion figure you see reflects the cumulative value of this missed opportunity in RFPs due to the current space limitations. It is not a projection of future revenue, but an indication of potential market reach with expanded facilities, meaning we would not be awarded all 8,000 conferences, yet even a small percentage would have significant economic benefits. Looking at the broader picture, this slide compares Washtenaw County to a potential competitive set in like markets identified by CSL. The Bolden recommendation reflects the suggested ideal facility that I've referenced earlier that currently does not exist. Without that type of facility, you can see we are not competing with this competitive set. While there is no exact replication of our destination, the competitive set here may each have something similar to ours, such as size, being a college town, close to large metropolitan areas, or a large airport hub. When we consider Michigan's conference centers by the total sellable space they offer, cities like Detroit, Novi, Grand Rapids, Lansing, and Kalamazoo are home to some of the largest venues and top this list. Ann Arbor, however, is notably missing from this ranking. According to CSL's recommendations, including a new venue as advised, would position Washtenaw County among these leading locations. Turning our attention to Washtenaw County and their meeting venues, let's examine the spaces available, sorted by the total area available for events. It's important to highlight that currently our market lacks dedicated exhibit space entirely. The consulting firm CSL recommends that to meet that demand, we should aim to offer at least 40,000 square feet of exhibit space. Exhibit space is known to have more open floor plans and be able to accommodate large groups into one barrier-free space. The Ann Arbor area's strong appeal of world-class dining, entertainment, arts and culture, vibrant academic institutions, and proximity to Metro Detroit Airport create an attractive destination for meeting planners to host their events here. However, we often find ourselves facing a challenge with our current space limitations. These limitations are particularly evident in how we can only accommodate certain large groups based on availability of the venue and only at certain times of the year. For instance, many of you are aware of the 3 union groups that come to town: the Ironworkers, Electrical Training Alliance, and the UA Instructor Training Program, or Plumbers and Pipe Fitters, as most of you know them. The latter 2, which fill all the hotel rooms in Washtenaw County, all use our university spaces in the summer, yet outside this season, our ability to host such sizable events and conferences is significantly limited due to the active academic calendar and student presence on campus. With our space limitations, we try to get as creative as possible with our community partners and often host meetings across multiple venues. Planners tend to look for destinations where attendees can fit under one roof for reasons of logistics and cost. We often hear, "I'd love to bring our group to Ann Arbor. We just need to have one space to hold our meeting." In closing, Ann Arbor offers many things that meeting planners want, including a safe and walkable downtown filled with restaurants, nightlife, and entertainment, complemented by convenient airport access to Detroit and multiple downtown hotels. The insights from the Convention Center feasibility study bring to focus the vast potential that lies untapped due to our current space constraints. The economic impact of visitor spending in Washtenaw County is significant, supporting thousands of jobs and contributing millions in state and local tax revenues, not to mention supporting the local restaurants, retail, and attractions we love. From the findings I've shared today, it's clear there's a significant opportunity here for meeting space in the county and that other communities in the state are capitalizing on that. My hope for sharing this information with you today is the key takeaway that we have an opportunity to create new economic opportunities for our community if we had a conference center to accommodate large-scale meetings and events. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sarah. Next up, I'd invite Chris Schroeder from SI to do his presentation.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Chris Schrader. I'm the CEO of Sports Illustrated Resorts. I'm also a citizen of Ann Arbor for the last 31 years or so. My kids have gone to school here. My daughter graduated from University of Michigan. Sorry. Nope. It's okay. First of all, I want to say thank you to all of you for coming here. You know, this shows your interest in what we're doing. I appreciate that. You know, it's interesting after listening to this presentation, I'm going, how do we fix this? How do we take advantage of this? You know, the reality is, it was interesting. We are doing projects all over the country, literally all over the Western Hemisphere. I woke up one day and called Otis and I said, why are we not doing this here? This is our own backyard. I actually drove around Ann Arbor looking for a conference center because I thought we had one. And then after driving around, I said, we don't have a conference center. We are a world-class destination. We are a world-class university. We just won the national championship, I heard. You know, so that's a big deal. It's a big, you know, I'm excited because I have people from all over the country that have come here to support what we're doing. So I want to tell you a little bit about Sports Illustrated Resorts and a little bit about what we're doing to address the needs that Destination Ann Arbor showed. When I first looked at those numbers, I thought we needed the conference center. But when I looked at those numbers, I said, wow, I mean, we're missing out literally on, like you said, if we just had a small piece of this, hundreds of millions of dollars that would be coming into this community. Be going to our restaurants, to our retail, you know, to other hotels. Because if we bring in big conferences, all the hotels are going to benefit. All ships are going to rise with high tide. So I think tonight our goal is to give you information so you know more about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and who we are. So Sports Illustrated Resorts, let's see if this actually works. There we go. So trusted leaders. So Sports Illustrated has been around for 70 years. You know, we first started talking about Sports Illustrated and taking this, you know, iconic legacy brand and turning it into an active lifestyle, kind of hotel, hospitality, entertainment brand. Everybody got it. In fact, when we first put out our first press release on our first university project, which is in University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, that's when, you know, Otis and some of my partners said, why are we not doing this in Ann Arbor? We had over 6 major universities contact us and their towns say, we want you here. We've got land for you, we want you here. So we kind of put the full court press on saying, let's get something going in Ann Arbor. And, you know, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about Sports Illustrated. Again, 70 years worth of, you know, iconic IP. Thousands and thousands of covers covering everything from the Olympics to all of our favorite sports and beyond. One of the things that's unique about Sports Illustrated, and something that, you know, you were talking a lot about when we were talking about we need a world-class facility here. We want to compete against all those others. We are an attraction. We have literally been given, dollars from states because they look at us and say, you're not just a hotel, you're an attraction that's going to stand out. When I say attraction, meaning that people are going to go, okay, I can go to this conference center, I can go to Ann Arbor, which already has a fantastic brand. We have great restaurants. Ann Arbor's done a great job of creating the destination. And now we're taking that one step further and doing something very unique. Just to give you an example, there's really three major components to Sports Illustrated. One, we're a powerhouse media authority. We're also a big brand. We have multiple facets underneath the Sports Illustrated brand, from our ticketing to our events to our conferences to our broadcast to, we do camps. We do all kinds of stuff through the brand. The other thing is we have 70 years worth of iconic images. We have one of the largest databases of intellectual property there is. I mean, you can imagine all the covers. At one time, Sports Illustrated was a weekly. So being able to come into this particular property and bring this kind of iconic intellectual property, you can walk into the history of, the University of Michigan. You can walk in the history of the town, history of, the people that have come through, this, and, Michael Phelps, Tom Brady, et cetera, all these different people that have come through and that we can highlight and really showcase Ann Arbor and the University of Michigan tie-in in a whole different way than ever before. Just give you a little quick background on Sports Illustrated Resorts. Right now, we have projects, like I said, we have about $1.5 billion worth of projects, around the country in the Caribbean. We have properties we've opened in the Caribbean. We have multiple university projects. I probably get in trouble for saying this, but because I'm from Ann Arbor, I want this to be the first in the ground. I want to beat out some other universities. And we plan to do that. The other thing is we're everything from our SR resorts and experiences to eco lodges, eco and adventure lodges, to our university model. Just give you some of the components of the Sports Illustrated, hotel resorts brand. For starters, we do have a strong food and beverage component. When you see some of the designs that we've created, we do want to create community space. This is the other thing that I'm excited about with everybody being here. This is your project. A lot of developers come to town from outside, and they say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and the city eventually gets their plans, and they try to say, okay, this is what we want to do. We started by coming to the city saying, we want your input first. We want input from the community. We want to talk to you about this being your community space. I know one of the concerns tonight was, were we going to have a big enough space to house everybody? We shouldn't have that issue. We should have a place that we can go to have big events and have big conferences. Right now, we have over actually 70,000 square feet of conference space. It's a really unique conference space. When it says 50,000, that's kind of one contiguous type of area, and we have some other unique areas that we'll show you in a minute, the renderings. Proprietary events and award ceremonies. This is a really unique component. Through Sports Illustrated, we have our own proprietary events. One is the Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year Award. That's been one of the biggest awards that they have in professional sports. But we're taking that out to high schools. So 4-hour radius of Ann Arbor, for example, there'll be 200 high schools that we're doing Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year, awards, including some scholarships. Well, those will culminate at a night here in Ann Arbor for those high schools that come here and everybody else to celebrate, let's call it 10 of their greatest athletes for various reasons. They only have to be the best at what they do, but there's a story behind them. And we'll award them the Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year Award with some kind of scholarship. That could be 150 different nights a year. We have people coming from different towns to experience Ann Arbor. We have our Teamworks program, some other things that we do that are proprietary to the brand. Fitness and wellness. We have a very strong dedication to health and wellness and fitness. This property will have a very nice state-of-the-art health and wellness fitness facility that we would like to make available for people to have memberships there locally so they can partake in what we've put together. Upscale food and beverage offerings. Ann Arbor's a foodie town. I mean, I unfortunately probably eat out too much, but, I know all the great restaurants here and then some. But we want to bring in some great food and beverage. Some upscale to, you'll see our SI Stadium, which is just a great gathering place for families, which we'll show you in a second. Storytelling. As I mentioned before, we have just almost an unlimited database of fantastic intellectual property that we can put within the facilities to really bring the story of Michigan athletics of Ann Arbor to life in a very unique space. We met with the coaches of all the major teams at University of Michigan. They're ecstatic because they're having to bring in players and recruit players, and they love to bring them into this facility where they're walking into the history of the University of Michigan. That would be part of it, not all of it. This will give you a quick example, and some of these images, that we really loved what the university had done. And if you see the top left image, that's what we call the Hall of Champions. Like I mentioned before, we're taking and creating a space when you walk in where you see, we kind of represent all of these famous people that have come through this town, through this university, and highlight them. So you're walking into the history of, I say, University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Again, this is a world-class destination. Let's celebrate that, and that's what we want to do. Just a little highlight some of the things we do. This is our Teamworks program, where again, we can go out to 1,000 different corporate, companies and say we want to host a Teamworks building session. Emmett Smith is one of our partners, Shaquille O'Neal, Tom Brady, where we can actually host events where companies will come here and have motivational, speaking, plus we'll show you some of our facilities where they can actually do physical team building activities. Because of the brand, we've received incredible response from both high schools for the university, the Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year, and the Teamworks programs. One of the things that I've been passionate about my entire life with my family, my kids, myself, is athletics and, activities. If you look at all the studies, 9 out of 10 parents whose kids have been in sports, have benefited in many, many different ways. We want to highlight that. We also want to provide, programs or work with groups that are doing programs already in the community, sports-related programs, and provide our facilities. This is a community facility. Again, just a little bit of information about the Sports Illustrated Sports Person of the Year. We're very excited about this because it really does get the word out to the entire surrounding 4-hour radius, 5-hour radius. Ann Arbor is a place to be, especially when we hold our proprietary events. I'll just tell you a little bit about Cobblestone and our partner. Part of what we're going to do tonight too is just kind of talk about who our partners are and why we are kind of best in class at what we're doing. Otis, sitting here in front, is a good friend, and they've been involved in P3 financing throughout the country. Done a lot of stuff in the city of Detroit that's been incredibly beneficial to the city. $2.4 billion in P3 financing bonds. What we're talking about tonight is something that 90% of the cities across this country do. This structure in order to be able to facilitate building a project like this. It has to have some kind of public, private partnership. Lena, I'll let you introduce yourself. But
big crowd. Hi. I'm Lena Chu. I am an architect and principal at Lamar Johnson Collaborative. I'm also an Ann Arbor native. I moved here in the 2nd grade, went through the entire Ann Arbor public school system, proud river rat, and a graduate of the University of Michigan Architecture School. So needless to say, it's a full circle moment for me. I could not be more excited to come back here and be a part of this project team and really make sure this project has an impact to this community. Oh, let me go back and tell you about Lamar Johnson Collaborative.
yes,
I'm here with my partner, Louis Vavarutsos. We represent a much larger team behind this project. It's not just us. It can't be done with individuals. We have a large team at LJC. We have over 5 offices across the country. The 2 of us are based out of Chicago. We have over 350 employees across those offices and have the ability to deliver a diverse range of project types, especially unique to this project with so many different assets and expertise. We really are well suited for this. We've won 160 design awards, and 95 of which are currently certified sustainable projects. So you've heard a lot from Chris about the SI vision, the SI brand, and how that influences the hotel. But part of our job also as architects is really how do we bring that vision home to the community and make sure this project really embodies that. So because we're only at the beginning, this is a proposed project concept. This is not a finalized design. So all the renderings that you see are, the potential of what it could be. It's kind of our dream inside. But really what we wanted to do is take a step back and share the why behind the design drivers and use those as guiding principles. So The following slides are our project's commitment, our project team's commitment to the community and to Ann Arbor. So it's important to read this one. I'm not going to read them all verbatim, but first and foremost, we want this project to be a people-driven, neighborhood-focused project that embodies community collaboration and partnership. So this project is more than just a building. What happens beyond that building, beyond those walls, which is a mantra of our company. And we really want to partner with the community so that we can make an impact in the communities in which we operate. So truly, we want the final design to embody that. We have a commitment to sustainability. We are committed to make this an environmentally responsible project. We're going to use high-performance building design. We'll be responsible with our material selections. We're aiming to go for LEED Gold. This is a brownfield site that we plan to remediate. We want to go all electric except for gas at the food and beverage restaurant. And LJC, our firm, has signed the American Institute of Architects 2030 pledge, which is it's a actionable climate strategy to reach net zero emissions in the built environment, so in the same spirit as the A2 Zero plan as well. We all know that Ann Arbor is an arts and cultural destination. We have amazing museums, bookstores, independent bookstores, and arts. And so we want this project to acknowledge that. And one of the things that we can do to foster community and collaboration in the arts is to have a fairy door competition. This is one of the things that is a big passion of mine as I've taken my daughters through the disappearing doors throughout Ann Arbor. We will demonstrate a commitment to public art. We have some opportunities to, can you hear me now? Sorry. So we'll have a commitment to public art. We have had conversations and are committed to really making sure we integrate art into this project, and so it's representative of the culture. And finally, we want to reimagine the void that currently is in this parking lot and create a destination not only for visitors but for locals, and really create an experience that extends the core of that downtown.
So
I'll advance these slides for you.
the fancy slides. So it's interesting, when we started to look at locations, literally the first day that we said, hey, we should be in Ann Arbor, we started, driving around looking. And I go downtown a lot to go to restaurants, and there are many times that, I look at this space, this site that we're talking about, and it really is just a giant void. There is no connection with the community. There's nothing that happens there. There's no real pedestrian traffic. It's just a 60-foot.
It's a parking lot.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a parking lot, and I don't know if anybody's a big fan of 65,000 square foot of asphalt. We're not. We know we need parking, but thank you. Yeah.
We want part of it.
You want parking?
Yeah.
Oh, we do too. We actually want more parking. Yeah.
We do not want an eyesore downtown.
No, we don't plan to have an eyesore.
It looks like it.
Well, you haven't seen the new design yet, and that's why you're here tonight.
I see a big block in the parking lot.
Well, that's the parking lot. So, but we're going to show you some stuff. You know what? And again, I appreciate it. One of the great things about community meetings like this is we all have opinions, and we appreciate those opinions. And we want to take those into consideration because we want to design something that's important. But I think when you see this, you're going to really like it. So,
Yeah, that's an eyesore.
well, I'm going to tell you what I think it is.
Could we have some order and allow
Yeah.
him to finish, and then
Yeah, I
Mr.
appreciate
Leonard
you.
will come up, and then we'll do
Yeah.
Q&A.
So here's what I see. When I walk by here at night, it's a big parking lot. All right, maybe you're a big fan of parking lots. It's a big parking lot. When you look at this design, I see a community. I see a neighborhood. We've actually brought this giant parking lot that has nothing there, and we've created a community. We've helped bring the city together. It blocks the what? Well, right now we have a parking lot facing an alley. So what we want to do with that alley, when we have our buildings, we want to create a pedestrian area where we'd like to work with the Arts District to create more murals along that alley and light it at night so you can have a pedestrian, safe, friendly area. Because right now, you don't. You're walking by a big parking lot at night. It's not that, not to say it's not safe, but the fact is we can create something very nice here. This is a community area that we can bring people into. The families can come, and you'll see that shortly. I think you want to go into?
Yeah, I mean, we really think this can be an anchor. The downtown design guidelines call out corner sites, which we have the opportunity right here at Williams and Ashley, to create an architectural gateway in which we really believe this project can be that gateway to the downtown district, especially as the site slopes down towards the railroad tracks. This is a great opportunity to accomplish that. So quickly to go over the programming, again, very conceptual at this point. It's a proposed project. Starting from the tower, half of the tower, the upper half in blue, is represented as residential. And then the other half are hotels. That sits on a shared outdoor podium that will also be invited for, you'll see some renderings coming up next to have some food and beverage and experience spaces outside, followed by 4 floors of parking. We are replacing the parking that is on site now and creating more. That is bookended by a basketball court, which will follow with that as well. Below the parking, you'll see that we've positioned the conferencing that is well suited and sized appropriately for this site in coordination of what we understand the needs of the city are, which we think is a great opportunity. Then next to the ground floor, we have that anchored at this corner site again with the Field of Dreams, the SI Stadium that we will show right here. So in concept.
So one of the things that, I don't know about anybody here that has kids or kids are grown, but I've had 3 kids, and this time of year we're always looking for places to go. You're looking for a place that we can go and have community space, have food, let the kids run around and do something. With what we're creating, you saw from that last slide, that ground up, is what we call it's the Field of Dreams. So that's what we call it. You can literally come in, giant food hall. We want to celebrate local chefs, give local chefs the ability to come in and have their own micro restaurants. We can have events there. We can have birthday parties there. Whether it's nice weather, we can roll the doors up and have this great community space. When it's cold weather like this, the doors shut, and we have a big place for people to actually come and families to come and dine and have their kids run around and have an actual community space. This will show you a rendering. And again, like Lena said, these are all conceptual, and part of the reason they're conceptual at this point because we like the community's input. But it gives you again, this is just a quick rendering, but it will show you it's a food hall. Events area, birthday parties, watch parties, all kinds of things that you can do with this space. And again, when I start thinking about all the benefits, I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars in this community from what we're doing, and creating a community space here on a brownfield site. I know if you understand what brownfield site is, that site needs to be remediated. There could be some toxic things there that need to be removed because there was an old building there at one time. We're going to take that and create a space for the community. So we're very excited about what we're doing with the spaces themselves. This can also be used for conference space. So I think, about 8,000 square feet roughly.
Yeah, this image really is to emote kind of the potential of an indoor-outdoor experience and how the exterior wall can open up and really engage the pedestrians on the sidewalk. One of the things that would be great feedback that we'd love to hear from the community is how you think this space could be used. Are there better ideas that we're not thinking of, that we're open to as we're early on in how we position this as it is at the corner in a prime opportunity? So looking at this from a massing standpoint, we wanted to focus here on the entry. So the entry is mid-block off of Ashley. This is how you would arrive and get dropped off as a guest for the hotel. And if you live in the residential units, you would also access this way. This is also how you get to the ramp to get to the parking garage. An example of kind of our community partnership, Chris has had some conversations with the Ann Arbor Art Center, which is where I had my very first art class when I was 7 years old. I understand that drop-offs for summer camps happen here in this existing parking lot. So, that's feedback we love to hear, and we love to kind of accommodate our project with. So we would rework the brick wall that you see here and allow for the Ann Arbor Art Center to use a covered drop-off for their students in the summer. This is also an opportunity to have artwork in the alley. and in addition to maybe some spaces up above. So above the porte cochere, you'll see the conference center, which is this, oh, you can see my mouse, which is the appropriately sized conference center. That's flexible meeting spaces, different sizes and types to meet the community's needs. In addition, above that, you'll see the parking with the roof deck and the tower above. At the end, right here, we'll get into this next slide, where we're really highlighting the potential for, changing the pedestrian experience as it is existing now and creating a street edge that invites the pedestrian and activity inside. So the ground floor, which the downtown standards encourage to be highly transparent, we think we're achieving with looking at all the activity that's coming through here, from the conference center entry being separate from the hotel, access to the food and beverage, retail, and entertainment, into the SI Stadium. So sharing a little bit of the inspiration, let me go back one slide really quick. I want to note here that the basketball court is above the SI Stadium at the corner.
Before you go there, one of the things that, unfortunately, again, this is why we're here tonight, is to talk about, the appropriate information. One of the first renderings that came out made it look like a big building. What we really did was try to create as you see, a green space on top. We've got, 30,000 square feet of green space on top of this building. We try to create a park-like atmosphere. It's a lot prettier than, buildings I've seen there going up. There's a lot of them that I've got, but we've created. So when you're coming down Huron Drive, you're going to see a building with all the green space, because that's the kind of the eye level you're going to see. It's going to be a very pretty building. It's going to be a great addition to downtown. And again, for those that seem to really love parking lots, I think this really does tie in, downtown so much better, as a beautiful example of a world-class city.
So look at this basketball court. You would say, why is that not at the ground? But we have some reasonings. At a prior firm I worked at, this is a project we did that's highly successful in the city of Chicago. It is a rentable, bookable space that has connected to an outdoor rooftop, which we serve as a great precedent. These renderings represent, the potential for our project. This could be used as a community space to host summer camps, to supplement any needs the Park District has, with Rec Ed, having a high school tournament, even having teams come through and do walkthroughs before games here. Nice views of the big house beyond and the tree canopies of Ann Arbor. And then the same space, I clicked too fast, the same space being flexible can also be used at night to be booked for private events, whether it's a wedding or a reception or a lecture. A simple change to adding down carpet tiles, which is what happens in Chicago, really elevates and changes the space and the opportunity. Above the basketball court, we have a destination fine dining restaurant with indoor and outdoor dining that the public can get to.
Again, I kind of covered this earlier, but one of our commitments is to health and wellness and fitness. We are creating kind of a state-of-the-art health and wellness and fitness facility. Again, that will be open for the community to have memberships there. It's going to be a fantastic space, again, with indoor, outdoor places, trainers, the basketball court, a number of different amenities associated with the SI Fit Center.
This is a view of that outdoor SI deck next to the SI Fit place with the restaurant beyond. And then hopefully this can work. It's hard to understand the context of the project through these renderings. So we wanted to show a video looking north, really emphasizing this corner of the SI Stadium, a field of dreams on the ground floor, moving up to the outdoor roof deck, and you see the basketball court, and above that, the fine dining outdoor restaurant. Adjacent to that SI Fit deck and outdoor turf area. And then as this moves, we were joking we should have played music to this. And then also being able to, maybe you don't want to be part of the dining or an exercise and just really want to enjoy the outdoors, you can come to the north side here and have this really take advantage of the rooftop on level 8. Again, what you're seeing here is just proposed, very early in concept, but a way to get the idea across of the great potential of this project. So thank you.
Describe what I heard like the condos, you haven't talked at all about the parking space. What's
The tower.
that?
The tower, the top half will be residential, and the bottom half will be hotel.
Are you designing the residential, is that coming later? I don't understand.
So yes, the condos will be,
Well, we're designing all of it.
Yeah,
This is the full buildings, as you see, so that will encompass the residential and hotel. Yeah, there will be anything goes above that, that's the full building.
yes.
Do you know how many rooms?
Can we hold on Q&A, because we've got one more presenter who hasn't come up yet?
Let's see. So we're going to just quickly, Deb will have you introduce one of our partners, Deb Petit.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dev Patik. I'm the president of Destination. Here we go. Can you hear me now? My name is Dev Patik. I'm the president of Destination Development for Sports Illustrated Hotels and Resorts. Previous to this, by way of background, I founded a company called the Sports Facilities Advisory. Sports Facilities Companies is currently the largest operator of community-based youth and amateur tournament style and community recreation venues in the country. We also operate a number of amphitheaters and other venues that serve as destinations. That firm will serve 40 million visits this year, and we are the only strategic partner to the International City Managers Association because we've done a great job of partnering in communities to create destinations that elevate and improve the economy while also improving quality of life for citizens. I had not thought when I retired from my seat there and joined the board that I would ever work again. But when Chris approached me, this visionary leader who's done so many great things, I couldn't resist. And so what we will do here, unlike any hotel you have ever heard of in your life, the SI brand allows us to co-create events with partners similar to what we did in my previous firm. So here in Ann Arbor, we'll have a sports medicine conference series that can be an annual event, the SI Sports Medicine Conference. Our arts festivals will be in partnership with the arts community here, not created for it, but created by it, where it has the opportunity to co-own those events. The same with our Sports Person of the Year. The stakeholders in that are everything. And so the net result of all of this, my teams that I'm putting in place will be responsible for delivering upon these promises. And the net result of that, at a relatively conservative forecast, based upon the model you've seen and the occupancy rates that are indicated by research and study for us, and the use of this venue, is $240 million in tax revenues to the city over the life of this project, plus the ongoing lease payments for the land. To be clear, you're not giving up the land. The land is yours, it's being leased, and so it produces more revenue in our model than does today in just the lease. It produces more parking than it does today in just the lease. It provides an answer to some of your demand, your needs around conference space. It provides an answer to some of the gathering space needs that you have, and it creates opportunities for your organizations locally to collaborate in ways that are probably unbelievable for some of you. I suspect when you're used to looking at that lot, you think that's what it is. I think we're offering an opportunity to think in a sort of visionary way, and a very different way than another conference or hotel or other brand might do, because there is no other brand in the marketplace that can own, co-own, create events in this way. You don't find Marriott creating a Sports Person of the Year award. You don't find any of the other brands doing this. And so I'll leave it to you to, because all of this material is going to be available after we're here. But if you were to research who our team is, the team that Chris has assembled, I think you'll find that we're all quite credible, that we've actually done what we say we're going to do, that we've been trustworthy partners, that the promises we make, we fulfill on. My team's job under Chris is to do exactly that. There's still a lot of listening ahead. There's still a lot of work to be done. No decision has been made. A proposal has been put forth. We hope in all sincerity, that it's a proposal that most of you embrace. And some of you, we hope, have changed your mind tonight, because there's been a lot of misconception out there. And then others, we absolutely recognize it's your neighborhood, it's your place. You may never have your mind changed. We hope until you're in one of our events, until we get to host you. So I just want to thank you for allowing the conversation. We're going to move to Q&A. I know there's a lot of emotion and energy around anything like this. I would invite that we could all try to be civil in that process, even if there is a lot of emotion. And so we'll look forward to now moving into the question and answer period with you. Thank you. And I think we're going to formally move ourselves somewhere else.
Not yet. We
Okay.
got.
Thank you.
I want to bring up Brett Leonard from our local building department, and he's got a presentation to give.
Good evening. My name is Brett Leonard. I'm the planning manager for the City of Ann Arbor. The planning department is responsible for coordinating, conducting, and completing the development review process. And I think I'm here because this is a unique experience that you have maybe not seen happen a lot in the city, where the city is actively partnering with one of a property that's been under public ownership, so it's a public-private partnership. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what you can expect from the process as a petition for development on this site moves forward. Even despite any transactional relationship between the city and this development, it will still be subject to all of the requirements, ordinances, processes that any development would require. And so that process is independent of any question that the city will consider from a transactional perspective on the property itself. But I just wanted to walk through quickly what the development review process we would anticipate will look like for this process, so you can understand and be mindful of what's coming. So I'm going to break it into 3 phases to be simple. The first phase of the development process is what I'm going to call pre-submission work. Based on this project location, there's going to be a couple aspects of that. One is that based on the project attributes that are being proposed in concept at this time, a citizen participation meeting will be required. So what that's going to mean is, in addition to this meeting that the city administrator has initiated, there will be another meeting hosted by the development team, inviting property owners and residents within 1,000 feet of this property to provide another early look at this proposal. That happens before anything is submitted to the city for consideration. Because of its location also in the downtown district, you heard reference from the architectural team that this project is considering recommendations of the city's downtown design guidelines. This project will go to our design review board. This is a consulting board appointed by the city that applies those adopted design considerations to projects in our downtown. This is just a consultation. It's not required, but it's a required step to have that dialogue with that board and carry the outcomes of that conversation forward with any review of the proposal. So the meat of the review process is the site plan review process. That's where a site plan with all of the details of this proposal are going to be submitted to the city. It's going to be submitted on our city stream system, which is publicly available. Everybody can see plans that are submitted in the city. And that's going to initiate the work of city staff measuring the merits of this project against the codes and requirements and laws of the city. The city communicates what it expects out of private development by our codes. In our case, it's called the Unified Development Code. You might have heard it referenced as a zoning ordinance. That's where we explicitly specify what we expect out of development across the city. This will be no different. That any plan that's submitted for this site will be measured against those standards, and that's how we will make a determination. That is done not only by the planning department, it's done by a variety of my colleagues across the organization, including engineering, transportation, the fire department, natural features, stormwater, solid waste, and because of its location, we'll also talk with the Downtown Development Authority, given their important role in supporting infrastructure and advocacy in our downtown business district. After a review process, ultimately, we will make a determination that the project eventually does or doesn't meet all of those standards. If it is determined that it meets all those standards, we will schedule it for a planning commission meeting. This is where determination on the actual development will occur. What that means is we're going to schedule it for a public hearing. This picture might look familiar. It's going to be in a room that seems a lot like this one, where we're going to schedule it. And what will happen is we'll publish that public hearing. We're also going to notify people within 300 feet of the property at that time, both property owners and residents of the proposed public hearing. And what will happen that evening is that will be featured on the Planning Commission agenda. What's going to happen is the petitioner is going to have an opportunity first to present and introduce their project. Then my colleague, a staff planner, is going to summarize the technical review that was conducted on this proposal. And then we're going to open it up to a public hearing. This is an opportunity for anybody to speak on that proposed site plan and the decision that's before the Planning Commission. At this case, I anticipate that that's going to be a site plan approval. And then the Planning Commission will deliberate, and then the Planning Commission will make the determination if that site plan is approved or not. Because no legislative action is being proposed at this time, that final decision of the site plan approval will happen at the Planning Commission. And again, I want to reiterate that that is distinct from any decision that the city elects to take with a lease or a transaction regarding the property. They really are separate, independent processes that will be considered by the city. Overall, I'm asked a lot, how long will this take, often by applicants, and the short answer is I don't know. It really depends on the project, it depends on what is presented, but generally, without a legislative action, we're probably looking at about a 6 to 9 month process, all things considered. I have to caveat that. That depends, again, on how quickly we meet all the city standards, review cycles, meeting schedules, but I think you can expect generally about a 6 to 9 month process. And just to reiterate, the city's stream system is available online. That's stream.a2gov.org. You can follow along the review process of this petition or any petition for that matter that's submitted in the city. So if you are interested as a member of the community, that's a great place to get information and milestones about proposed development. So thank you for finding that. So rather than any specific questions about the review process, I think at this time we're going to have all of the speakers come up to the dais, and I'm going to flip this fancy podium around, and then we'll get into Q&A.
If the speakers could sit to my extreme left, and then we'll flip the podium, and then the staff to my right will help facilitate the Q&A. Where the paper is.
Oh, I feel short.
You know the drill.
Does someone want to direct them?
Hi.
You will have 2 minutes, and staff will start it.
Hi, I'm Hank Berry, live in Burns Park and went to high school and college here.
So could you get closer to the mic? We
Yeah.
can't hear you.
I wanted to ask a couple questions about your relationship with Sports Illustrated, the brand. New York Times this week said it's in chaos. The NRLB sued them today. And what is, are you a licensee? Are they an investor? Are they equity owner in what you're doing? How does that relationship shake out? I'd like to know your relationship with the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. how much of an investor they are, and whether their capital is committed or it's actually in your business. And I'd like to hear about the financial plan for this project. Who's going to invest, who's going to benefit from it, and where's the money going to come from? Thanks.
An answer? There we go. All right, can you hear me okay? Great. I'll answer that question real quick. So Sports Illustrated Resorts is the exclusive, resort hospitality group for Sports Illustrated. Licensee, exclusive licensee. Authentic Brands Group, which is basically the second largest owner of IP, owns 52 different brands, is also an owner in Sports Illustrated Resorts. Just kind of to address what's happened over the last 2 weeks with Sports Illustrated, quite frankly, it was way blown out proportion. Sports Illustrated is a big brand. Everything from ticketing to productions to their betting platform to resorts to events, on and on and on. The media side is one of the aspects of Sports Illustrated, and an important one. Sports Illustrated always thrives to be the best in class. And quite frankly, right now, they're going through a restructuring to be the best in class,
But they don't have an equity ownership in what you're doing.
They are an owner in Sports Illustrated Resorts, yes.
Okay.
Yes, Authentic Brands is. Authentic Brands, the owner of Sports Illustrated, the brand. Yeah, major company, $30 billion a year in sales. It owns over 52 different brands, so very significant. The Eastern Band of Cherokee is our partner. They are also an equity owner, significant equity owner in Sports Illustrated Resorts. They have committed over $320 million to Sports Illustrated Resorts, to the brand, and to projects. They are already, implementing funding into projects as we speak.
They're in gaming. Will you commit to apply for a gaming license?
Well, I can address that right now. We're not looking to do gaming. I mean, I'm a citizen here. We're not looking to do gaming.
You have a question?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
I have no quibbles with the fact that we might need a convention center, which I've always thought we needed a convention center. I have a better location for it, and I think it should be the library lot, but that's a whole nother thing. My question is more for the city. And what happened to a survey I heard about that this lot was destined to be affordable housing, like a 3 or 4 story dedicated housing, affordable housing plan? And I was wondering if you could help me to understand the turnabout to having a branded convention center.
I personally am not familiar with the survey. Maybe that's something that happened before I got here. But as I said at the outset, I asked in April of last year for permission to look at developing 2 sites. This site that we're talking about and the space right next to City Hall. I can't speak to a 4-story building on the site.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but I don't know whether I dreamt it, but I was pretty certain that something, yeah, thank you. Just, that was my question.
Okay. Yes, sir. Could you?
Thank you.
Are you all in line to ask questions? Okay, so we have a line formed if you want to ask a question, if you'll stand in that line and come on up. Not you.
Thank you very much.
Go right ahead, sir.
My name is Stepan Trendov. I've lived in this city for also 35 years. That lot has a specific love in my heart. I taught my daughter how to ride a bicycle, also her car, and we did not damage anything. As everyone has introduced himself, I have conceptualized cities all over the world. Dubai Royal Fee, the Sultan Oman, Bulgaria, and this is my city, I love my city. I was a professional athlete at one point, so I understand where you are, and your presentation was wonderful. As a master planner, with the thousands of people that come in a convention center, they bring in the money for the restaurants. During COVID, we had an incredible bad experience, and a lot of the businesses went under, but not restaurants. Restaurants are doing well. What we need are more conventional people that will come here to live and build our city, bring other people to live and bring our city. And from that experience, the city will grow. I think it's more appropriate intellectually, if you are in Ann Arbor, the outskirt, then Saline and other communities would take a better advantage of it and still have an Ann Arbor brand. Economically, it would make more sense for the city and you to be in that environment. We have maybe 7 to 10 parcels of land that are in the core. They're vital to us. The university is constantly ripping into a tax structure, taking some of it out. And I'm in favor of you coming to Ann Arbor, but you have a better alternative on the outskirts, not in the core of the downtown.
Thank you, sir.
Very much.
Thank you. Next.
Mr. Dohoney and guests, my name is Don Duquette. I'm a resident of downtown. I'm a member of the Downtown Area Citizens Advisory Council. I just have one question. It's about the ownership of the property. I don't understand that. Can somebody tell me if we're giving up a free simple? I understand there's going to be a lease. How long will that be? Have those decisions been made? What equity interest will our city retain in this property once it is, when its life is over or going into the future?
Yes, sir. No decision has been made on any deal structure. What has been discussed is a leasing of the land that would bring revenue to the city, and then tax revenue would be generated off the site, and that would come to the city in a certain formula. No decisions have been made because nothing has been presented to the city council for them to act on. We are still in the talking stages of it. That's where we are. Yes, sir, would you come up?
Hello, my name is Nikhil Patel. Thank you guys for the time. First, just a few general comments. I do think an investment like this is important in the city of Detroit. As a lot of people know, the governor has an initiative around figuring out what it requires to bring young people, to both keep them in the state and attract them back. I think it's important that we have uses of our plots of land that are centrally located within the city to attract more younger talent over time. The ripple effects are higher. The economic development ripple effects are higher. Having a location like this in the outskirts of town simply just doesn't drive the kind of energy and attraction. And you see that in multiple cities across the United States. You're seeing that contribute to the revitalization in Detroit as well. So I think having something there in whatever form over time that it evolves into is important. I also think driving projects that increase revenue generation that can then be later on used for more feasible, more sensible, affordable housing is a better pathway than activating land for affordable housing where it may not generate as much revenue. So again, the ripple effects, I think, are positive for a project like this. Two questions for you. And I know we're early on in this process, so you may not have the answer, but a question was asked, and what is the thought around the financing? What is the potential debt implications or tax implications for this project? And two, as I mentioned with Detroit, they're also building up their hotels and conference space. As you did your analysis, how much of that factored in where there's going to be demand for events in Ann Arbor or in Detroit? How will that affect activity in a facility like this?
Thank you. I'll speak just to the financing structure at a high level. I'm not a finance expert, but I slept at a Holiday Inn last night. But have been involved in a lot of P3 structures that are quite similar to this. The financing structure that's been conceived, and again, nothing has been agreed to, but in order to model the potential of a facility. You have to decide, like if you were going to buy a house, you'd have to say, well, let's look at where the sources of money are. How much am I going to put down? And so the modeling that's been done today, I think, may have led people to believe that there's been decisions. There haven't. But the modeling that's been done is based upon what other cities across the country utilize when they are attempting to build a conference space that is large enough so that it produces more hotel rooms than the hotel that's associated with it. Does that make sense? You're going to build a space that impacts positively a number of other lodging facilities, restaurants, and other things. We're not going to have enough tables to feed everybody that were to come to a conference, and so on and so forth. So because of the benefits to the economic and social jobs creation and other benefits of a structure of that sort, facilities like this are quite frequently built using a nonprofit development corporation. That is a company, that is a nonprofit entity that exists for the purpose of developing infrastructure that serves a public good. It must meet that criteria. This facility is not, you can't just go say, please give me the money. You have to pass through all kinds of studies that show and illustrate, third-party independent studies that illustrate that the good is greater than the venue itself. And in a structure like that, the nonprofit development corporation is responsible for paying the debt, and there is a non-recourse relationship with the municipality. That is to say that the municipality is not responsible for the debt. In a structure like that, you frequently need to leave the ownership of the land and the dirt with the municipality. And so you enter into a lease agreement rather than taking that from the city at the time of the launch. And so this structure, if you were to research how conference centers, convention centers, meeting spaces, even youth and amateur complexes, venues are built, this is very common. And so in the modeling process, we utilized that structure. We met with attorneys, we looked at everything that might, so that we could say, is this conceivable? Can we do what other cities do to finance something like this and eliminate or nearly reduce the risk to the city? Okay? So that's what's been conceived so far. That's what the modeling has been based on. As we say, no decisions have been made, but that concept is not new. It's not fresh. It's not even considered innovative anymore, even though the people that do it are very innovative. It is just tried and true, and so that's how the modeling's been done to date. I hope that answers the question.
One other thing that you said too, which was appropriate, is that, someone else mentioned before, you put this somewhere else outside of Ann Arbor. That's already there. I mean, there's a big conference center in Ypsilanti that has the bigger space, and they go there, and they're not coming downtown Ann Arbor. We need to bring those dollars here. It's the greatest dollars
Michigan has millions of square footage that could be rented.
Sir?
People come in here, they go to restaurants, the restaurants are doing well, all the other people are going under. Consider that a factor. In the outskirts of the city, you can capitalize on the name and have what you want. There's plenty of land around it. In a court, it can't be done. We need housing, we need people that live here, to buy shops, buy things, that live here, and bring other people that also live here, and employ other people.
If I could speak to the city portion of the question that was asked.
I'm sorry, I apologize.
It's fine.
Well, just one quick.
Let me finish.
No, go ahead, sorry.
The city has been in discussions with the Sports Illustrated team for the purpose of seeing if a term sheet could be developed. We have not completed those discussions, therefore we have not had anything to take to the city council. We paused discussions in order to have some meetings and conversations like this. But in order for, sir, please, sir, please.
And then they design it. They don't design it and shove it on us. It's not done that way. It's not done that way.
Sir, if we could have order.
This is not the kind of city we are. I'm going to leave before I say something stupid.
So at some point, we would take something to city council to act upon. We haven't done that yet. Good evening. Go ahead, please.
Hi, my name is Kathy Griswold. I am a former council member. I am also on the Board of Governors of the Michigan League. The Michigan League really functions as a small conference center. It even has hotel rooms on the top. We heard from Destination Ann Arbor that we need a conference center, and obviously one bigger than just the league. However, the University of Michigan has a very professional plan for a conference center on North Campus, and they look like they're moving forward. They're not at the RFP process yet, they're at the RFQ process. So in your planning for a conference center, are you taking into account the conference center that the University of Michigan is planning?
Yeah. I think Destination Ann Arbor may be a better voice to it, but I would just say that the 8,100 and whatever it was RFPs, or requests for proposals, or requests for space, right? These are groups that are seeking space, would more than produce the demand necessary to fill both spaces.
So we're saying 2 large conference centers.
Without the university here, and this is preliminary, as you mentioned, so to know the true use of that space and what the university's intentions are, I don't think anyone on this panel can speak to that. We did talk to CSL, the group that commissioned the study, and asked them that very question. While they had the same response that I just gave you, they felt that the market here was strong enough to support both sizes of facilities. People do want to be here.
Okay, thank you for that answer. I think that this council, when I was there and currently, is still based on wishful thinking. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Hayner.
Hi, how you doing, Mr. Mahoney? My name's Jeff Hayner, former city council person also. Just real quick, I've known Chris for, almost 30 years now. And yeah, almost, right? And so he's a big thinker guy, and so these are big ideas that are coming before us here. A couple things. So when I was on council, a couple things happened. One was at some point, and many points, frankly, over the years, but one when I was on council, we received a study that talked about conference centers and hotels and these types of things. And if you really dug down in there and read what it said, the vast majority of the comparable properties that were listed were operating in the red, and even some of them were even operating in the red with huge amounts of municipal support behind them. And so these things aren't real big winners. And most public-private partnerships, I think it's common knowledge that the public takes the risk and the private makes the profit. And that's just what P3 means to people. And it's kind of what it means to me. Okay, that's one thing. Now, another thing we did on council was we asked Jen Hall, who's in charge of the Ann Arbor Housing Commission, to evaluate 11 city-owned properties for their potential and the quality of creating social housing in our community, which we all agreed is much needed. And this is one of those properties, and it scored well above the fold of those 11. Why it is not being, and I didn't want to yell out earlier, but my question would have been, how many affordable units are in your building? Well, it's 0, like everything else we seem to build here in the city. Okay. So that came forward, and it ranked this as a good property for social housing. I guess my last thing is not really a question, but a comment that a lot of people have said to me, because they think I still know what's going on. Why would the city be partnering with an organization that is restructuring right now and perhaps is best known for exploiting women in a swimsuit issue? Is that the brand of Ann Arbor? Is that our brand? I think it's terrible.
Yes, sir. Please come up.
Hello, I'm Drew Patterson. I'm a resident of Ann Arbor, Michigan grad. And
could you get a little closer to the mic?
Yeah, my voice is a little weak.
Okay.
I have, in the course of my career, represented a number of developers and automotive suppliers that have sought public financing in various forms of it. And I have learned that the devil is in the detail. So I have a question. there was a November last year draft term sheet that became public sometime in early January. And I wrote a letter to the city council over my concerns that were raised in that term sheet. And so my question is, has there been a change in that term sheet? And what was the city's participation in developing that term sheet?
I'm not exactly sure what you saw, but there have been various iterations of a term sheet. And so the term sheet has evolved through 2 or 3 different writings. We have been on hold, so to speak, for a couple of months on negotiating to finish the term sheet. 1 for the holidays and 2 so that we could do the meeting first. So I'm not sure what version we're on now, and I don't know how it compares to what you looked at. We have been in discussions from the very beginning of the very first iteration of the term sheet, and it's evolved from there.
Well, because the devil is in the detail, I would appreciate if the latest versions of the term sheet could be made publicly available.
We are planning to do that.
It does seem to me that this meeting is perhaps premature, the cart before the horse, because it really is important what the details are. The term sheet that was published in early January had a November date on it, and it had the city taking the entire risk of this project, and city's TIFA financing, and that's the state ultimately. But I'm skeptical of those financing issues, and I think I have experience that dictates that. The most recent one is the wonderful Little Caesar Arena that took $35.5 million from the operating budget of the Detroit Public Schools, the poorest school district in America. And they reimbursed, in the S1, it said, reimbursing the developers, 2 billionaires, $35.5 million out of the poorest school district in America.
Yes, sir. Mr. Hayner, you're next.
Hello, I'm Alan Haber. I went through a process like this with the Valiant Conference Center in 2009, responsive to a request for proposals for the city. And the city was very excited about it, and they got a very good presentation, not unlike some of what I heard, until somebody who was actually some other kind of pro about hotel calculation and conference center actual practice said this hotel was overrated, the conference center was not going to be viable, and the city was going to be left holding the bag. And yet I hear the similar kinds of things, everything is going to be taken care of. But that's the economics of this proposal is important. But it shouldn't be where it is. And I'm really disappointed that when this property that has been part of the conversation in the city for a long time, yes, before you were here, but you know it's been on the docket for affordable housing, for worker housing. And when somebody comes in off the street, more or less, with a good idea that does have big revenue, multi-million dollars, it would be proper to say, okay, we are now considering this property. Let's look for a request for proposals to see what we can get on the housing front. This should be for affordable housing, and you're not asking for what is possible on affordable housing. We heard in the downtown development of the DDA, heard from all the developers, you cannot have affordable housing on private land. The economics do not support it. If you have public land, then you can build affordable housing for the workers who work downtown. But private land, you can't do it. Why are you people not buying the private land? Okay.
Thank you. Come on up, sir.
Hello, my name's Antonio. I am an architect downtown. I have a home about a half mile from I guess, this property. I think that there's a couple of questions about just the form of the building. I'm impressed that no one's talked about the form. I think that Ann Arbor has, over the years, been given some really unflattering tall buildings, and you can just I might look around, and I think I guess just what we'd ask about just the tower, what that was planned. I think that it uses a lot of some of the. Parts of it look like a lot like Tower Plaza and also like the City Center building. I think both things that I don't think really kind of just don't look what like a new Ann Arbor would be. And it also, I would think that the square footages aren't, you could probably build more more housing within that. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Doug Aikenhead, Ann Arbor resident. Thank you for your presentations, very informative. Ann Arbor, the appeal is its authenticity. It's evolved over almost 200 years to what it is today, and it's this authenticity that makes Ann Arbor appealing to you too. And yet you're proposing to put in a huge, massive synthetic environment. It just doesn't fit. Can't you design something that would be more compatible with the Ann Arbor that exists now instead of this totally inappropriate synthetic thing? When I go away to a conference or other event in one of those synthetic spaces, I come home and breathe a sigh of relief. It's such a comfort to be back into a town that is human-scaled, comfortable, and not synthetic. Okay, some questions. Wouldn't this project fit better, more comfortably on a more spacious site, maybe toward the edge of Ann Arbor, with enough space for comfortable massing of all the things that you're proposing to do, and more usable outdoor space for some of those activities? I think it would. Question for the city of Ann Arbor. How many more cars and trucks, gas burning and diesel burning, will this endeavor bring into our downtown? And how does that fit with our 820 goals? And third, won't this development with its restaurants, hotels, and variety of services generate hundreds, maybe even thousands of low to middle income jobs for people who won't be able to afford to live in Ann Arbor? We need to stop kicking the affordable housing can down the road and make opportunities for people who work here to live here. This has been a priority for as long as I've lived in Ann Arbor, and so little is happening. We've got to address those needs rather than a synthetic conference center. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello, my name is Ken Nisbet. I'm retired from the university. I've been involved in a lot of things around town with economic development. I was one of the founders of Ann Arbor Spark, worked with tech transfer and business development, so I'm well aware of some of the activities over the last 10 to 20 years. I actually do agree that there probably could be a need for a convention center. I feel like I have two main problems with what I'm hearing. Number one is I feel like there really should be an RFP for one. From what I've heard, I'm actually disturbed by the fact that there wasn't more insight into other options before just having this one proposal. It might be a great proposal, but I feel like I don't know what the other options are. I feel like there really should be two requests for proposals or requests for considerations. One should be with that site. Is that the best use for that site? I'm not convinced. Number two is, what's the best possible convention center option proposal we could get somewhere in town? Yours might be it, but put the two together, I just feel like it's pushed, it's rushed, and it just doesn't seem like it's well thought out. I wish we might even think about partnering with the university. I'm not sure, I'm not familiar with exactly what's going on, but partnering and having perhaps a joint proposal for a convention center somewhere would be terrific. So I guess my question, it's not necessarily your responsibility, I understand the council, but have we considered changing the process where we might look at both of those options?
There, at the point we are now, the majority of council has given direction for us to continue the process. We still, as I indicated, haven't taken them any kind of a structure. What you're suggesting might be something that council takes action on, but that has not occurred yet. And your reference to, are we in any discussions with the University of Michigan about their plans, only in general terms. We're not in any kind of intimate discussions with what their plans are.
Might be a good idea, though, don't you think?
Might be.
Let me help you. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Tom Stolberg, and I'm celebrating our city's bicentennial this year. I'm also a big sports fan, former subscriber to SI Magazine, and an athlete and coach here at U of M in the past. Suppose I was a private landholder and SI Resorts approached me before tying up my very valuable asset, making it unavailable to any other prospective purchaser. I would want to scrutinize the likelihood of this first suitor's success. You will secure an option from me if I think you have a good chance of succeeding. I will check out your track record. I will ask to see your homework with regard to the market demand and potential competition. I would check out your pro forma to see if the projections are reasonable. I would verify your ability to finance this project. You have no actual development track record. Strike one. The University of Michigan is in a parallel process for a similar product, a conference center, hotel, and restaurant. The M brand is one of the top sports brands in the country. The U of M has the land and the track record for successful development, and the U of M doesn't have to go through the city approval process. It looks like the U of M will get theirs built in the near future. That's tough competition, and the SI team hasn't addressed this sufficiently. That's strike two. I would want to see your numbers. Some of us have preliminary run numbers, some hypothetical ones, and we don't say how this will succeed. Foul ball on 2 strikes, you're still at bat. The SI team wants to finance this with bonds issued from a nonprofit, but this is clearly a for-profit endeavor. You want over 100% financing, no recourse or any skin in the game for the development team. No recourse for the landholder, which sounds good for the landholder, except there are risks that haven't been addressed. And with no recourse, who is going to buy these bonds and possibly be the one holding the bag if the project fails? I do not see the financing sufficiently secured to tie up my very valuable land. Strike three, you are out.
So I want to make a comment on that because I like the analogy, but I also don't like bad officiating. Number one, we have gone to the gold standards of feasibility studies. We have done feasibility studies, with groups like HVS. They did all the feasibility studies for hotel projects, et cetera. They have more than validated what we're doing. Destination Arbor has done studies that more than validated both facilities, as we discussed. We talk about revenues coming into this town. The greatest revenues in the world are people that come here and visit and leave their money here, because it means that we as taxpayers don't have to pay for a lot of things that they're bringing millions of dollars in. We have more than validated, and the fact that we haven't done development, yes. We have groups, and our whole entire team has done over billions of dollars worth of development and funding. So I'm not sure where you got your information, but this has all been done. That's why we're here today. It's why we've done all the studies we've done, all the floor plans and all the different designs. That's why we're here today to talk about that, because we're not going to spend the money. We say we don't have skin in the game. We have a lot of skin in the game to this point. In fact, spending millions just to get to this point, with the hope, again, as a citizen, I love all this, but the fact is we're bringing a lot of money into this town by doing this, and the studies have shown we need it. So that's the facts.
Yes, sir.
Hello, thank you. My name is Steve Palms. I'm a resident of the city. I also have 2 degrees from the university, an undergrad degree and a law degree, and I am a commercial real estate lawyer who's done a lot of ground lease deals with both private and public entities, and so I'm very familiar with the public-private partnerships and those arrangements. And what I would ask here is just simple transparency. I'm told this is a ground lease. Is this a subordinated ground lease, or is this a non-subordinated ground lease? What's the rent that's going to be paid? Is that based on the land value, or is that part of the, contribution that you're actually looking for from the city, where you're getting a beneficial rent rate on the land? And is the city risking the loss of the land? There's certainly going to be a lender here that comes in and is looking for the best collateral they have. Again, is this a non-subordinated ground lease, or is it going to be subordinated to the lender? What's the credit situation? I also understand that there are public bonds being issued, and so again, the public has a huge role in the financing of this project. And again, all I would ask for is transparency over it, because in effect, what you're doing with the public role is they're in effect your partner. Because they've got a lot of skin in the game, and I think there ought to be complete, full transparency about what that skin is, who's taking the risk, and most often you look for a developer to put in the equity portion, and not the not the municipality or the governmental entity. And yes, if you're asking for that, just be fully transparent so we know where the money's coming from, who has skin in the game, whose is it, and what is the return. So again, I'm just asking for transparency here so that everybody knows what's happening in the overall picture. Thank you.
And before you start, I just want to say we're going to be completely transparent about the financial aspects of the transaction. Completely transparent. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Diana Ramey. I had a law practice in downtown Ann Arbor for 45 years. I have similar concerns about what happens if this project fails. Are we going to be left with a big hulking behemoth of a vacant structure in downtown? Take a look at Dayton, Ohio, or some of the other places where they have struggling convention centers, and it's not an asset to a city's core. My question is for the city of Ann Arbor and Destination Ann Arbor. Sports Illustrated, besides being known right now for being in disarray and possibly not being able to publish anymore and being the target of some labor actions, is also mostly known for its swimsuit issue. If you've looked at the website for the Sports Illustrated resorts, it's a succession of semi-clad women in bikinis frolicking in waterfalls. And that really seems to be mainly what Sports Illustrated is selling these days. And so my question for the city and for Destination Ann Arbor is, are you comfortable partnering with an entity whose public image and all of its marketing is centered around that sort of presentation, especially if that's what we're trying to present Ann Arbor as in inviting the rest of the country to come and visit us here?
As I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that we did today, our purpose here today is just to inform that we need conference space. It is not to support any specific project that's been proposed in either way. So in that regard, we do not have comment about that. It is strictly the fact that we do need meeting space in this area.
Can I just rebut one thing real quickly? Again, I appreciate your opinions. Sports Illustrated's been around for 70 years. Swimsuit Edition is not. And, we have a lot more people that follow the sports part of it than the other part of it. And, that's what we've been known for.
Take a look at the website, though. That's what they lead with. That's what brings in the eyeballs.
With regards to the city's position, the city's taken no position on anything going forward. There's been no decision made. We're simply relaying that someone has approached us. They want to have discussions. We've been having discussions. Nothing's been settled yet.
Thank you.
Sir?
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. My name is Ken Garber. I want to thank the presenters for coming out and facing the public. It's not easy to do. But on the other hand, it's not easy for the public to get up here and speak in front of such a large crowd. So I want to thank everyone who's come out, and I really appreciate everyone's comments. No one's spoken about the sustainability elements. I want to do that. All electric and net zero sound great, but these terms can be used to greenwash a high emissions building. So my questions would be these. Will you be using geothermal or air source heat pumps? Will it be a VRF system or a PTAC system, often used by hotels, which is extremely inefficient and is basically self-defeating form of electric? What else? ERV, energy recovery ventilation system. Net zero implies that you will be generating energy on site. Will that be solar? How much? Where will it be? Will there be battery storage on site? Carbon offsets are not a solution. If that's part of the net zero equation, that's unacceptable. LEED Gold, have you scored out the LEED Gold elements? LEED Gold by itself says nothing, really, about the carbon emissions of a building. I anticipate that your answer to this will be, well, it's too early to work out all, these problems. These are engineering solutions that will come in after site plan approval, once we put out the bids, et cetera. Well, if you want us to take this building seriously, I think you need to answer these up front. The fact that you're going with gas for your restaurant indicates to me you haven't read the 820 plan, which explicitly rules that out. So that makes me extremely skeptical that this will be a true net zero building by the plan's definition.
Do I respond to that? Yeah. So just wanted to clarify, our intent is not for it to be a net zero building. Our firm's commitment to sign the AIA 2030 pledge is to be responsible in material sourcing to contribute to an actionable plan to support net zero emissions by 2030. So as part of our commitments to be responsible specifiers, that is our goal for this project. So I want to clarify that this project currently is not, we're not committing to net zero yet. And you're correct, we're so early in the process, we don't have our experts and our engineers on board, but we are committing to a high performance building with sustainable and make it to achieve the LEED Gold scorecard that we have written out. What was the other question? Third one.
It was specific to different things that, yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Julie Ritter. I've lived in Ann Arbor a long time. Thank you for this hearing. I have so many questions, but 2 minutes, gee. My two most important questions are, number one, why was there no RFP? You were approached by a friend to look at this project. Why didn't somebody go, gee, this is time for an RFP. This could be one project, but maybe there's other ones we want to look at too at the same time for this site. Why was there no RFP? And Brett, you said that this project would follow all the processes that any other project would follow, but it has not done that yet. This has gone under the radar. It was sprung on us sui generis right in the middle of downtown. Complete, no transparency, no public involvement. You've gone way down the track on this, and there's nobody else that's looking at other alternatives. And that's all I have to say. I'd like to know why there was no RFP.
In response to your question, I go back to the comments I made at the opening of the meeting. I was very transparent with City Council and asking, I was very transparent in asking if we could look at development of the Klein lot. I did have permission to do what I've done. We've not made any decisions. City Council has not been asked to vote on anything. What we've done thus far is have conversation. City Council can always decide to go to an RFP. We haven't been given that direction yet. This meeting tonight was designed to give information and to answer questions and to take input from the public. That's what we're doing. Where it all ends up, I can't tell you, but everything, every aspect of the project, should there be a viable project, will be completely transparent. It can't be even voted on if it's not transparent. So that would be the direction that we would go. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Karen Hart. I'm the former planning director, and I've lived in Ann Arbor for 32 years, and not counting grad school. I'm kind of appalled that you had no idea that affordable housing was the highest use that the city had flagged in the recent past for the Klein's lot. But I guess you know it now. I'll reserve any comments I have about the design of the building or the site mechanics, or why isn't the parking underground, for the survey. I think more fundamentally tonight, it's very concerning to me about this site. Is it appropriate for the use you want to do? I agree we need a conference center. We've needed it for decades. The brown block's just down the street. That's where it should go. It's a much bigger site, and Bill Martin's a big U of M fan. I'm sure he likes sports since he was on the Olympic Committee. He probably wants a lot of money for it, too. But that's where it should go. It's on a main street that it will be easy to find. This street, the streets, William and Ashley, are like now completely blocked by two-way bike paths. Nobody who works in this facility will be able to live in Ann Arbor. So great creating jobs, but we don't have a conference center crisis. We need a conference center. We have a housing crisis for people, and that's what the site is supposed to address. It needs to be high density, affordable, maybe mixed use, mixed market housing, and the sooner we do it, the sooner my daughter will be able to stay in town, the sooner I can downsize and live in some place that I don't need anymore. And I'm just dismayed that you're this far down the line and you have not, you need to find a different site. I'm not a big sports fan, I don't care about that stuff, but I do think a conference center is great, and if this one flies, wonderful, but there's nothing in it that I would ever go to, except maybe the restaurant. So put it on a different site and build housing on the Klein lot as soon as we can.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is John Godfrey. I'm a resident of Ann Arbor. I've got a question about transparency that I think it's a very important issue. It's been raised several times. Mr. Dohoney, you mentioned in an email or in comments actually to council, that staff have been working on this intensively when you'd met with council and talked about it in sometime in the fall, I think October, November meeting. So clearly that there's been a lot of work, an exceptional amount of work that's gone into this project long before it came to the public's attention. And it first came to the public's attention because of a press release from Sports Illustrated itself, nothing the city released. But I have a very specific question. Did you help organize a meeting or two meetings between the developers and members of City Council in the fall in two sections in order that these could be held privately and not be subject to the Open Meetings Act of the state of Michigan?
There were I was going to answer your question.
Oh, I'm sort of listening.
Okay. I organized 2 informational sessions. Have I organized any meetings to circumvent OMA? No, I have not done that. I said when we were first approached, and so let me give context to what's happened. We were approached about the idea of a potential hotel in the downtown area. I organized a meeting of maybe 25 or so individuals from beyond just City of Ann Arbor to allow Sports Illustrated to present their idea. Prior to ever hearing anything from Sports Illustrated, I had already been in discussions with Destination Ann Arbor about needs in the community. I learned about the need for a conference center from them. When I first engaged with Sports Illustrated, they were only talking about a hotel initially, and I asked them about the possibility of the conference center going inside of the hotel. I have been completely above board in everything that I've done from the very beginning. I'm not trying to hide anything from anyone.
I appreciate that. So I can take it then, you're saying that you did not schedule these separate meetings with halves of the council in order to avoid the requirements of the Open Meetings Act?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Marcia Polenberg-Ramsey. I've lived in Ann Arbor for at least 24 years, probably more. I was a graduate student here, taught here, lots. My questions are, the aesthetics of the building are totally out of scale with the surrounding historic buildings. The nature of Ann Arbor, we don't need another brand. We have a brand. We're really proud of the historic sense that we have, that the building has no relation to the buildings that stand. So that's one point. The other is your relationship with the Cherokee tribe, gambling. Is this going to be a gambling mecca?
We have no plans, nor will bring gaming at all. That is not our plan. You know, I have to respond to one thing because I'm a citizen here. The building directly behind us in the historic district was built in the 80s, I think. You know, there's no set standard of what every building looks like. In fact, they all look very different, which is nice.
There's a certain height that the downtown has. It's human scale. The building that you're proposing does not fit into that criteria. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ralph McKee. I have lived here for 50 years. I'm happy to say, but sorry to say on another level. And I have 2 degrees here, including a law degree. I have a couple of questions about what you've said about the taxes that would be paid and the amount of money that the city itself would gain. There's a $930,000 a year ground lease in the term sheet I read. And you've said that there's $240 million in taxes over a 60-year lease. That's $4 million a lease, or $4 million a year. If you run 50 mills, I guess you could get that if you have the right TCV, and it ends up being $4 million a year. But the city itself only gets 16 mills, which is about a third of that. So the real number, if you were being fully, I don't want to use the word transparent, you've been correct. You would get somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 million a year. So I just think that ought to be laid out. That's the real terms. Yes, the schools would get money, the county would get money, et cetera, but it's not the city. The second item I think that goes to that is that you're also planning and really trying hard, if I read the emails right, to get TIFs. TIFs would mean that that money would be way, way less, because you wouldn't be paying any property taxes. And so what I'd like to do is to just make sure that in future communications and public statements where you're saying that there's misconceptions being provided by critics, that you get your own facts straight. Thank you.
I just want to speak because I think you have the right to know that the numbers that we're representing are based upon analysis and study that we haven't had time this evening to present. But as we've said, and I think it's important, there seems to be some misconception that the city has gotten on board here. What has occurred is that we did a tremendous amount of work collaboratively to come up to model what you're seeing here. including the design. But that modeling does not suggest that that it's been voted on or the decisions have been made. And to your point, you absolutely deserve to see all of the detail and all of the analysis if we go further than this preliminary modeling. The purpose of this, and this was not our directive, but the city's directive to us, the administrator, was, okay, we've done enough modeling, we've done enough like batting this around, it's now time to bring this out and let people engage in the conversation. And if we were to go forward from here, then the next step would be to reveal in great detail, to present, to give you the opportunity to kick around and dig at and disagree with the analysis of the third party and the other professionals that are involved in this. So I just want to give you, I agree with what you've said. If you were to believe that a decision could be made based upon what you've been shared today, that would be, no one's saying that. All that has occurred is that some modeling, some design, and some work has been done on a structure that responds to the demand studies that your own city has done. That's all that's been done. From here, there is another layer, and there are multiple levels of additional engagement. So I just want to acknowledge that what you've said would be accurate if we were at the point of a decision. But at this point, it's been the modeling. It's just been a modeling exercise. So I just think that's important for you to hear.
Well, this lady's been waiting.
Thank you. These are basic numbers. We're talking about a third of the taxes that you're putting out, $240 million, and the real number is $72 million, or somewhere in that range, regardless of how you play it out later. The numbers would be dramatically less if you were using TIFs. Those are not things that you have to get a final decision. And I wasn't putting it on Mr. Doheny or the city. These are your public statements, not the city's, at least as far as I understand it. And all I'm saying is that those are basic enough that they should have been put out there to begin with, because you're really running a PR campaign. And I'm not disagreeing that you should do that. You came here to make a presentation, and you guys are good salesmen, I'll say that. But those facts, they're basic.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Odile Huguenot-Heber, and I have lived in the city for about 30 years. I have several concerns. First of all, I would like the city to open an RFP's project proposal right now. It's not too late. If they're going to consider this project, they should be transparent and open other projects like low-income housing or other things for this lot. And the second thing that I have to say is that your project, looking at it, is way out of scale for Ann Arbor. We like our little town, and it's so many big buildings have come out recently. And a lot of people feel overwhelmed by this out of scale. We want to remain a humane city in terms of scale. And I have a concern about water. Are you going to build a new water treatment system to manage the added waste? And can the city manage a severe drought and still supply everyone water if we have a high rise in temperature in the summer? And the other concern I have is, I don't know if you've been in Ann Arbor on Friday night, but you can get out of town. It takes you 2 hours. Our city streets are small, and they cannot really take on this added car traffic that's going on everywhere, and that's just getting out of proportion. So we have to think about that, the added traffic that this is going to bring to our downtown. And then is your center going to be a thermal or a solar center? Because we have a sustainability issue there. Thank you.
The one question you asked about will there be enough water for people in Ann Arbor? Yes, this project would have no impact on our ability to deliver water. Also, infrastructure for dealing with sewers. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Ed Shaffron. I've been in developing in this community for 42 years. I've been in this town, I've never heard of you, I've never seen you, I've never seen you develop anything in the community, not that you have to. I was the guy that took care of the adult bookstore when it was in town. I was the one that reintroduced loft living in the downtown. I have renovated over 24 historic buildings in the downtown and own every one of them. I can't tell you, I'm not going to hear you criticize your development, because being a developer, that would be wrong for me. But what I can tell you is I've learned this community. And you talk a great story about all these people coming into town. I don't think that's what these people want. I don't think Ann Arbor wants 1,000 people coming into our town. That may be your wish, but I don't think that's the wish of these citizens. Question for you, Mr. Tony. The vote on this, is it an 8-3 vote? Is it an 8 supermajority vote to approve a project like this to sell and lease city land?
Yes.
So in other words, 4 council people could kill the deal. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Michael Watts. I am a college dropout, but I make funny things on the internet. So thanks for coming. I know it's not easy to sit and give a creative presentation. I have to give feedback on them all day. I think, as with that, I'm not going to criticize your development. I mean, I would recommend, though, showing it from the other side, because that is where everybody sees the structure, and it's readily evident that you are purposefully not showing it from Main Street, the heart of the city, and just showing the backside of it. And I think that would go a long way in helping, help people get a sense of the understanding. You also mentioned that the site is a brownfield, which the county has no record of. Apparently neither does the city. Could you please tell us how bad the pollution is and from what building it came from? And to add on to that, if you're going to be developing it as a brownfield or transformational brownfield project, will you be recapturing the income tax from anybody who works and lives on site? Thank you.
So as far as the brownfield, what we've been told by the groups that we've hired, that because of the previous older buildings that were there, that statistically, that they would have some kind of brownfield remediation from leads, from all kinds of stuff. It's just a fact when there was a big building there for years, decades, and when you have those kind of things, you statistically have, brownfield issues. They have said you will almost 100% have issues with this site, which will need to be remediated, which we're prepared to do. I think something that's interesting too, and I appreciate everybody being here tonight, and we really do appreciate your input. I think that's one of the most important things about why the city brought us here tonight. This isn't a done deal. It's really to talk to you and get your opinions, and we appreciate those. I think, is it a fact that we will bring in a lot of revenues to the city? Yes. I mean, that's not, it's a fact. We've looked at the studies. We know it's something. Is this the right site? You've made some good, good opinions here. One of the reasons we're doing this, on a public site is, it's kind of the but for. Because these are big projects, that's why P3 programs are put in place across the country. Because you can't come in and just buy, like someone said, buy a really expensive piece of property and build 70,000 square feet of convention space. You can't do that. You have to have a public-private, partnership, because it does bring those kind of benefits to the city. That's not an argument. It's just the facts. It's just what the studies show us, what other cities have. So again, we appreciate your input, and really do. And we are hopeful we can do something here in Ann Arbor, and that was our goal tonight, to get your input. So thank you.
There was a question that came in via Zoom asking about, does there need to be a zoning change? The answer is no, there does not. Yes, sir, please.
Good evening. My name is Claudius Vincenz. My only claim to fame is that I'm a long-term taxpayer in Ann Arbor. So I'm concerned about how you spend my money, or many other people's money. And so you did a very nice job with your presentation. However, you didn't talk about expenses or money. You talked about P3, you talked about public-private partnership. Boy, did my alarm bells go off. And then on the other side, you said, oh, this is at the very beginning, nothing has been voted on. When city council votes on this, it's way too late. All ducks have been lined up by then. The decisions are being taken right now. And so, and decisions, and I'm afraid that this lack of financial disclosure from you guys, perhaps you're a good salesman, it's your right to do so, but the city has no right to do so. And so therefore, I'm afraid the city is making under the table promises that we don't know anything about, but when it will only come to light when the city votes on this, and it's way too late. So the only action for you is to stop this project right now, to write an RFP and bring it out to the public and see what other projects. Stop it now, please.
Sir, I appreciate that you expressed your feelings. I do need to say there has been nothing that's taken place under the table. There's no one taking money. There's nobody offering money. Nothing like that is going on.
You've been negotiating exclusively with them. Why?
Sir, I had permission to have discussions with them. There wasn't something that was hidden.
This seems like a lot more than just discussion.
We've got, are we good? No callers? Okay. Yes, ma'am, please.
Well, I hadn't heard about this project. I was concerned about it, so I did a little looking on the internet. And I have found that other cities you've been in touch with have kicked you out. And I have also found that some of you have been fired from working as employees of cities for doing things like trying to bring a for-profit conference center to the city. I also have found out that one of you has been found guilty of a sexual assault. And so I think that you should make who you are totally clear to us and present your backgrounds, not in 1 minute to say, I am the director of blah, 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 but to really know who you are and what you stand for.
You know, I have to make comment to that. I'm sorry. We have not been kicked out of any city. In fact, we have cities chasing us down. I wish we could do this in Ann Arbor because it's my backyard. And you should need to be real careful about saying things like sexual because, you know, those are things that you shouldn't bring up or say things because I don't know where that's validated. Again, none of us have been kicked out of any city. In fact, just the opposite. So just make sure we get our facts straight.
And I guess I need to comment since there was a reference made about cities. So I'm coming upon nearly 40 years in the profession. I've never been fired. I've never had an allegation leveled against me about any criminal activity. There was a point in my career where I was director of public safety, carried the rank of colonel, was sworn, had a badge and a gun. I've had a top-level clearance from the FBI. I'm not a criminal. There's nothing untoward about my background. I've never been fired from any kind of job. And it's unfortunate I needed to say that, but I can't let that kind of thing float in the air and have people wondering. Yes, sir, please. You will be our last questioner. We're at 9:10.
Make it quick.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Bill Sizer. I'm a business owner on Main Street.
Yes, sir.
Right behind the Klein lot. There's been a lot said about affordable housing on the lot. There's a lot been said about everything. I agree and have benefited from the plumbers and pipe fitters coming in. I agree that convention is important for the city. I do want to make it very clear, however, and this is a selfish thing, I realize that lot is going to be developed. I realize that it is no longer going to be simply a parking facility. However, the city needs to take into consideration that that is the entrance for the businesses that thrive on Main Street. The first question that everyone coming into any business in downtown Ann Arbor asks is, where do we park? The second question is, or statement is, we don't come downtown that often because there's no place to park. So I'm assuming this is not a done deal, but I'm saying that when you go forward and you look at other types of projects for that particular lot and that particular lot only, that you take in consideration the existing businesses and what we contribute to the city, and take into consideration our needs. And our needs are to have an entrance not completely blocked to prohibit people from coming into the main street of downtown Ann Arbor. So I hope that on future proposals, and I'm assuming you're going to get some more proposals, I hope on future proposals that it's not totally blocked and that there's some consideration made for incorporating existing businesses that are already contributing to the city. Thank you.
Thank you. For those people that watch after tonight, this will be placed on the YouTube channel of the city. You will have the opportunity, there's some sheets on the table if you haven't gotten one, for questions after the fact. If to provide a question or more feedback, there is a QR code. Responses or feedback is due into the city by February the 4th. And I would like to thank all of you for coming out this evening. Please be careful in your leaving, but if you've got additional questions or feedback, please use the QR code available. Did I leave anything out? Am I good? Okay. Thank you all very much.